To me, Aaron Judge is the best position player in Major League Baseball. Judge is frankly amazing. Whatever you want to call him. Arson, yeah. Aaron, anything. He's the best.
Jon Heyman joining us right now. Please check out all of his work in the New York Post. You see him on MLB. He's got a great podcast that he runs with Joel Sherman. We'll post some of these clips and give you the link to Jon's Twitter account. Jon, great to have you as always and to catch up with you. And we got to start with the headliner. What were your thoughts when you see Tucupita Marcano banned for life from baseball? Not a big name, but still, it's a name that we know while we're in the game of baseball. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally sad for him. It's very unfortunate because, I mean, as you said, he was seen as a guy who was going to be a major league player at some level, whether he was a utility player, got bounced up and down, or whatever. We're not going to know, at least for a little while, but you are correct that he can apply for reinstatement. We'll see how that goes. But I am sad for him, but it's clear. I mean, as Todd said, I think it was Todd, who said it's clear to everybody at the major league level, and while he was on the injured list, he was at the major league level. You cannot bet on baseball. So while I feel sorry for him, I don't feel that sorry for him. It was pretty obvious mistake that he made.
Yeah, and he was betting a lot of money considering what he was earning. So I'm going to stay on this for a second, but I'm going to revert back to somebody who I know and got to know real well. I think about Pete Rose. Now, let me ask you a question about this. He always goes back and he tries to get reinstated, because I think he still deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. This doesn't help his chances by somebody else doing this kind of deal, because now it's like, oh, shoot, we're going backwards now in time. So for me, my question would be, does Pete stop doing this now since all this is going on? Because you let one guy ban for life and now this kid's banned for life. It really hurts his chances. Again, would you assume?
Well, I mean, I don't think Pete's chances look very good. I mean, we haven't heard anything about any potential reinstatement recently. I know that when Bud Selig was in there, and this is going back well more than a decade ago, there was some potential for it. I can't remember exactly why it fell through at that point, but I do like Pete for the Hall of Fame. I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And I would hope, and I don't think that this affects him. That said, it does still. There's no evidence that things are progressing in Pete's case. That's just the way it's been, and it's the cardinal rule. You can't break it. But Pete didn't. He didn't show any remorse, and he lied about it for a long time. So I get why it dragged on for a long time. But I'm kind of with you that he should be in the Hall of Fame. In this case, we have a player who signed off on it. This was an agreement in the end. So I don't know whether he showed remorse, but he admitted it. And, maybe that will help his case. So maybe that separates him a little bit from Pete. I don't know.
All right. My question is, and I'll explain it. Are there more? Because when there was this whole steroid thing, like, wow, we found biogenesis. We caught 11 guys. The public was so naive to think, whoa, there was 11 guys doing steroids? No, we're naive. So if they caught this many guys, I'm not saying that that there's more, what are the chances or what are you hearing that there's more? Because if they caught a solid group of players here, did they get them all? Or is this something that now other players are going to be fearful?
Yeah, I mean, betting on sports is prevalent among young men. And obviously people at the minor league level, major league level, they're all young, and certainly by my standards. And they are in that category where they are apt to bet. I would hope that almost all of them understand you don't bet on baseball, bet on something else. I know that there have been players who've called MLB to get a clarification on this, including a high-profile player. And he was told, yes, you can bet legally on other sports. And so, he is in the clear. He's allowed to do it. In this case, they bet with a partner of MLB, FanDuel. They're in business with MLB. That wasn't too smart. Am I naive enough to think there aren't any other players betting illegally on baseball, or maybe even legally, but not with a partner of MLB? No, there certainly is that possibility. And as you said, it is prevalent among young guys. So I'm sure there's a lot of betting. I would hope that they're betting on football, basketball, soccer, cricket, anything but Major League Baseball. There's a lot of betting to be had, and they can certainly fill their need to bet. And just don't bet on baseball. It's just not worth it. What is the, I'm not addicted to gambling myself. I don't get it, but it should seem to be pretty easy to confine your bets to football, basketball, hockey. There's one of those sports, including tennis and golf, going on all the time. So you can fill your need with any of those other sports.
My thing, last one here, John, is the integrity of the game is important, of course, right? So when we have regulated betting, we are able to track someone like Marcano and say, hey, this dude was betting on a site. We have proof that he was betting on Pirates games. He's out of here. This is not the first case over decades. And there are guys that have probably done this and never gotten caught because they're gambling with a bookie, right? Someone like who, eBay was working with. It's harder to track and to find people like that. And the same thing goes with suddenly looking at a random game on a random night in a regular season of a sport and seeing that the handle is super heavy. That ends up getting looked at by sports books, leagues, and the feds. So it helps us to find people that are doing things wrong in our sport. You know what I'm saying? So I just think sometimes people start going, well, see, it's because there's commercials out there. In my opinion, I feel really strongly about this. I've talked about this for many years. There only existed this offshore situation, and it made it harder to catch people that were actually causing damage to the integrity of sports.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that MLB was able to catch who they did catch. And like I said, I feel sorry for him, but I think you're correct that there are guys who can bet illegally and probably get away with it. And is that any better? No. But, and I hope that's not the lesson. I hope the lesson that players take away is not that we've got to avoid FanDuel and these other major sites that are in business with MLB, and we got to find some illegal bookmakers. Like I said, it should be easy. Bet on football, bet on NBA, that's going on now. If you need to bet on something, there'll be golf, there'll be tennis, there'll be everything to bet on. It shouldn't be that hard to avoid betting on Major League Baseball.
FT is headed to the MLB All-Star Game this year, and there's only one way you should be finding tickets for any ball game. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, so they have you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs.
I'm super pumped to hit the Futures game this year. That new skills competition looks electric.
I agree, Kratz. It's like the Olympics for baseball. Cannot wait to see that. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Baseball season's in full swing, and you don't want to miss out. SeatGeek has your tickets to every game and, of course, concerts, festivals, and more.
Every ticket's backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps.
And Kratz, FT came through for the people. Use our code FOUL for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code FOUL. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, please.
I'm moving on from this. I'm going to talk a little bit about Yankees a little bit. So how do you think Arson Judge did this weekend in San Fran?
He's amazing. I got to say, the guy's incredible. Yeah. He's going to be a superstar wherever he plays. I mean, the guy is amazing. I did pick him for MVP this year. Went with the chalk, went with him and Acuna. Obviously, it's not going to be Acuna, but to me, Aaron Judge is the best position player in Major League Baseball. And, and obviously there are a lot of great ones. Acuna, one of them. Betts, another. Soto, another. Judge is frankly amazing, whatever you want to call him. Arson, yeah. Aaron, anything. He's the best.
So last time we had you on the show, we had a debate about the Phillies and the Yankees. Both teams are doing good. Who was better? Do you remember what you said?
No, I don't. What did I say?
All right. Well, Scott, what he said? The Phillies?
No. This was on. No. Sorry. To clarify, this was on. John was on a show recently. Yes. This wasn't on one of our shows. Oh, not our show.
Excuse
John
me.
was on one of the New York Post pods. This is what we took it from, John. I know you guys were debating. We're trying to hype that up a little.
Right.
They were debating the Phillies and the Yanks. So what did the conversation go like, and who did you end up selecting if you had to pick?
If I had to pick, I think I picked the Yankees. Although at the beginning of the year, I had the Phillies in the playoffs, and I've got to tell you, my predicting skills are not great. I had the Orioles and Dodgers in the World Series. That's okay, because I think those are the second best teams in their leagues right now. But I didn't even have the Yankees in the playoffs. I was concerned about their rotation, which has been fabulous. The pitching coach, Matt Blake, has done a great job. Stroman has been a lot better than I would have thought. Rodon has bounced back and has been outstanding. Without Garrett Cole, they've had the best starting pitching in baseball, the best pitching overall. And right now, if I had to pick one or the other, I'd give the Yankees that slight edge, but those are the two best teams right now. So my two picks are not the favorites at this moment. And I went with pretty much what I consider to be chalk, which was Dodgers and Orioles.
So you said I didn't even have the Yankees in the playoffs. Have they done enough through only 2 months of the season to say, okay, this team is legit because of the track record of a Stroman and a Rodon and the fact that Cole hasn't even been there? Or are you like, as soon as it goes bad at one point, you're gonna be like, I told you, I knew the Orioles would come back with all their youth and all their young pitching and the trades they made?
Yes, I will do that. I can guarantee that. But at this moment, the Yankees look like the best team. Look, everything that went wrong last year has turned around. Obviously, Judge missed 2 months last year. That was a killer. Rizzo was not himself once he had the concussion issue and colliding with Tatis. Obviously, Rodon was not who he is. He's back to being the pitcher that he is. Cortez was mostly hurt last year. He is healthy now. Just about everything has turned around for them. Unfortunately, Cole has, and he hasn't appeared yet. But once he comes back, he can only help that rotation. So, to me, once you add Cole to the team that's actually been the best, certainly in the American League, and, debatable whether they've been better than the Phillies, but case can be made, they're even better. So, they obviously had the talent, but so much went wrong last year. They do have a little bit of age, which concerns you. But right now, not everything has gone perfectly, but whatever has not gone perfectly, they've made up for with other guys stepping up and performing. So right now, I think they're the favorite to win it all. And I'm surprised because I thought the Dodgers would be the best team. We've still got a lot of time to go. Dodgers will still get Kershaw back and some of the other pitchers that have been out, and they're going to be certainly a team to be reckoned with. At the top of that National League is tough with the Braves, who I think they will end up picking up pitching and will improve in the offense once Riley, Olsen, and the others perform to their ability. But right now, I think the Yankees are the clear favorite, even though I messed up and didn't have them in the playoffs to start the year.
Okay, good. That was going to be my next question was you were kind of waffling, but there you got to the end and you said the Yankees are better than the Phillies. Just want to have that quote.
Yeah, but I had to pick
Jon
one or the
Heyman.
other. Right now, I'm going to have to go with the Yankees, but those are the two best teams. I'm not dissing the Phillies. Don't write in if you're from Philadelphia or Southern New Jersey. I don't want to hear about it. I'm saying you're the best team in the National League. At this moment, the Yankees look like the best team. That Soto-Judge combination, one of the best we've ever seen. I think right now they are the two best hitters in Major League Baseball. Case can be made that they are the two best. I did my hitter rankings at the beginning of the year. I had Judge 1, Soto 3. I think it's 1-2 right now, and that is a deadly combination. Soto's seeing more pitches, obviously. Judge is now walking as much or more than Soto. But when he gets a pitch to hit, it's gone. That month of May that he had, I don't think I've ever seen a guy have a month like that.
Agree. Now let's go over to crosstown in Queens, talk about the Mets. Couple things. Stearns, you wrote an article in the Post saying basically he's not taking the blame for this, because, he wasn't there for all these guys that were coming in. You think there'll be sellers at the trade deadline?
Well, if it stands as it is now, I do think so. Even though they're only 4 games out of the wild card right now, they're still third worst record, I believe, in the National League. So I would say if they're 10 games under, even if they're only 4 games out, I do think they will be sellers, and it is going to be a big sellers market. So I think they're going to do well if they sell. They're probably not going to get the great prospects back that some of the fans probably think that they could for Alonso if they do trade Alonso. Because let's face it, look at the history of trading the sluggers who have been rental players. You can recall Arizona didn't give up that much to get J.D. Martinez, who was a superstar at that time when that trade was made with Detroit. With Boston, I believe it was. And, Rizzo, the Yankees didn't give up that much to bring in Rizzo. Schwarber, that trade didn't net that big a prospect. So, I mean, I think a rental slugger, even one as great as Alonso, doesn't get you a haul back. They'll get probably almost as much if they traded Severino and Minaya as well. But it's not going to be a great sale for the Mets. It's mostly rental players. They have guys who they're not trading. Obviously, Lindor's not going anywhere. Nimmo's not going anywhere. At this point, you couldn't trade McNeil. I don't think you could trade Marte. So, I mean, it's mostly going to be the rental starters, maybe a couple relievers, and Alonso. That would be the big name. And I do think there are teams out there that certainly could use Alonso. It's easier to trade a pitcher, but there'll be enough teams out there looking for that slugger that they could get something decent back. Not the big haul that I think some fans might expect. Houston looks like they could use a bopper, and they've kind of said they're not going to be a seller. The Cubs, potentially. It's a team that's been linked to Alonso. Mariners could use a bopper, though they haven't been that aggressive for one. So there are teams out there that are going to be interested in him, just not going to get the haul that I think a lot of people would expect.
Yeah, I like that Astros call. I mean, I think he could slot right in there at first base. Unfortunately, it's been a rough go for Jose Abreu, obviously getting sent down and coming back up. It's not been a lot of time yet, but I haven't seen much from him. One more Mets question for you, because I know you wrote a great article in the Post about David Stearns. He just started. So how do you think he fixes this, but also should fans remember that this has been going on for years, many signings and buys and all of that, that has led them to still the highest payroll in baseball. Obviously, some of that's being paid to Verlander and Scherzer and guys that aren't on the team. Even James McCann, I think, is still on the payroll.
Right. You're right about that. A lot of guys, Escobar, but obviously they're still paying for Verlander and Scherzer, McCann. They still have the highest payroll in baseball, the most amount of dead money. And none of this is Stearns. As I wrote in the Post, he didn't do any of it. His signings, by and large, in the winter, believe it or not, I know the team is underperforming, have been good. It's the holdovers who've really underperformed. He signed Bader, who's done a nice job. He's actually hitting the clutch, which is what almost no other Met has done. He signed Severino, who's been solid. Minaya, who's been solid. Not all of his deals have worked out brilliantly, but it's basically before he got there, the deals that did not work. About $1 billion was shelled out in deals before he got there, and all of the holdovers are underperforming. Now, Nimmo, I think, has hit in a lot of bad luck, but obviously Lindor is now coming on, but still hasn't performed to that $341 million level. Alonso's been good, but he hasn't been what he has been in the past. And Diaz obviously has been terrible before he went on the IL. So it's the holdovers and the guys who were signed to those big deals, McNeil too, that have really cost them. The deals that he did make. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's a small market GM." I don't know what they were expecting. This was a transition year. He signed guys on one-year deals, guys he will be able to trade. Also, J.D. Martinez, who I didn't mention. And I think overall he did a good job with it. So don't blame David Stearns. Blame me more than David Stearns, but blame the previous, the predecessors. They're the ones who signed those deals.
Eric Kratz here from FT. I'm a former athlete that really pays attention to his routine. And AG1 every morning before my workouts is something that gets my day going.
Hey, Braun here. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting in your body.
Unlike other products which only test their ingredients in isolation, AG1 tests their formula as a whole.
Ready for this stat? 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. If I had to recommend one product to support whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why FT is excited to have them as a new partner. Starting your journey with AG1 is a win. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/FOUL. Go check it out, FT fam.
You talked about Pete Alonso's value maybe not being that high. If you were to put a power ranking out there, who's the highest valued trade piece that has been, legitimately, obviously, if the Yankees would try to trade Aaron Judge, that would be the highest value. You know what I'm talking about. Who is that top 3 of highest value trade pieces? If Pete Alonso has a big name, but a slugger doesn't really get you much.
Yeah, I mean, 2 names come to mind, so I don't know if I'm going to give you 3. But Mason Miller, who's got 5 more years of control after this, who's been incredible, has thrown up to 103.7 miles an hour. It's been arguably the best reliever in baseball, though I could make a case for Suarez from the Padres or Clase from the Guardians. But Mason Miller has been certainly the most spectacular reliever in baseball, and with 5 more years of control, that's a haul. The other guy would be Luzardo, who certainly is on the block. The Marlins talked about him with many teams, including the Orioles, who probably still could use another starter. Even though I picked them, they need another starter, so help me out here, Orioles. And, the Padres are aggressive, and obviously we now have Darvish and Musgrove on the IL, so that's a team to watch, and they obviously had already acquired a Rise, so I could see them as well. But basically, almost any team could use Luzardo, who's got 2 more years after this year. He's only making $5 million, left-handed, big talent, has generally been good since he got back from the IL, brief stay on the IL. Those are 2 names that, to me, stand out. I mean, we were looking at potentially Bichette, Guerrero. I think Toronto already nixed them. St. Louis has worked their way back in, so I'm not predicting Arenado is going to be on the block anymore. So it's going to be a real seller's market, and certainly those 2 players could bring back hauls.
Last one, because you mentioned the Marlins, and I definitely hear the cops outside, so I hope everything's okay. I'm
on
assuming
the
you're up.
41st floor. I mean, I need some new windows or something. I don't know what's going on.
Are you in Florida or New York right now?
No, I'm in New York. I used to live in a 7th floor apartment. I didn't hear a thing. Now I'm on the 41st floor, and it's all day you hear stuff.
It's funny when I talk to John, you're either in somewhere in Florida and it's like the beach and maybe you hear a wave crash, or it's New York and you hear it all. So yes, I know where you're at right now.
Yeah, right.
Well, before they get you, the Marlins did get obviously Al Garcia, and it was a fail, right? So this is year 3 of the 4-year, $53 million deal. They just DFA'd him. No one's going to pick up that money. So it's about $25 million that they'll eat. But really the whole contract, I look at what they're eating left, but really he was never an effective player for them. So just wanted to get your thoughts on, how that was a fail for a team that's so damn cheap they can't afford to make mistakes like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that moment, Jeter was trying to do something. They gave him some money, but not enough to sign Castellanos, who's the guy who apparently he wanted. Castellanos, being from the Miami area, he felt somebody they could build around and be a star for them. And frequently when that happens, when you have money and the guy that you want to get is beyond your price range, rather than hold the money, you spend the money. So he's not the only one who does this, but he obviously made a mistake. He should have held the money for another year, but obviously he had it. He had the money available, and for $53 million, I guess this was the best player he could get. But even at the time, that looked like a major overpay. I mean, we didn't certainly know that obviously Al was not going to perform well and that he was going to get hurt. He was a solid player previously in most stops. He's been in several stops, but been a solid player at the major league level, but obviously that's not a good signing. And you're a Marlins expert, so they don't have a lot of money to throw around, and you spend $53 million, you better get it right.
Yeah, I was on the record on multiple channels and shows and all that, John, and I don't often go hard, but I was going hard against that one when it happened. I was utterly confused. I might have been doing shows on TV with you back then, and I remember going hard. I was like, this is a bad idea. This is not a good signing on many fronts, and it did not work out. So, but we got to do it.
Right.
That's what we're paid to do.
Your batting average is better than mine, so good for you.
Both of ours are better than Abisail, unfortunately, but hopefully he picks things up with another ball club. But John, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Everyone check out his work on Twitter, on New York Post, all of his spots, MLB 670, The Score, and the show with Heyman and Sherman. I want to make sure I'm your best hype man. How'd I do?
You really are. You should be in advertising.
I still follow everything that you do, John. So I love it. I appreciate it.
You're the one. John. You're the one. Thank you.
Yes.
John,
thank
Good
you.
to be with you guys.
Real quick for you, John. I'm looking at your books in the background here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Where's the towel of the backup catcher?
You got to send it to him.
Well, this is a big bookcase. I mean, you don't see half of the bookcase here.
Well, I don't see the book.
Well, I think I was sent all of these books, so you're gonna have to send it to me.
Yeah,
do we have bookstores anymore? I don't know. I'm old school. I still need a bookstore or someone to send it to me. I'm not writing away.
He's big enough,
books.
Kratz. You send it to him. He'll take a picture on it.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get it. I mean,
yeah.
I go way back with Tim Brown. I mean, it was back to the Yankee days with Deion Sanders on the team. We were beat writers together, so I'm a little perturbed at him for not saying. I'm not blaming you. I mean, I'm following you on Twitter. We're following each other, but we don't go back 35 years. So I'm a little upset right now with Tim.
Tim listens to the show every day. He's going to hear it, and if you don't get one now, maybe you fouled him a little bit too hard in a basketball game. I'm just saying.
I couldn't keep up with him. He's an athlete. I'm watching those games.
Books in the mail, John. We got you. Good
All
to talk
terrific.
to you.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.